The heroes of the DC Universe may have woken from their nightmares, but the real threat of Insomnia is just getting started. What'll happen next? Well, let's hop into the pages of Night Terrors The End, issue number 1, the grand finale of this event, and find out what happens next together, shall we? So then, at the end of the last issue, Insomnia had broken the bonds of the nightmare world and entered the waking one with an army of monsters based on the particular nightmares of the different members of the Justice League. Only we don't deal with any of that right away. Instead, we meet a little girl who wakes up from a horrible nightmare saying that all of the superheroes were chasing after her. Wait, did they all just wake up now? And also, is that what regular people were dreaming while the heroes were having their own internal conflicts? I mean, none of it is really important, but the premise of this series is starting to break down. Insomnia said that he wanted to turn the populace against the hero community so that they would all hate them as much as he does. But then we never actually saw him work towards that goal. It's like the book just remembered that right now, and they're like, oh crap, it doesn't make any sense. Now, speaking of the heroes, as we join back in with the newly awoken members of the League, they're still at the Hall of Justice duking it out with Insomnia's creations brought to life. Which again, I still maintain is a really dumb way to ratchet up the drama. Oh, the nightmares are real, everyone. No, they were already real. They've been chasing after our heroes and trying to kill them since this whole thing started. Also, all these sleepless nights, all these monsters that are reflections of our heroes' own internal conflict and trauma, didn't they already beat them in their own tie-in series? So why should I be scared of them now? The answer is, again, none of it really matters. What does matter is that Deadman is actually totally alive and well. Well, alive as a guy named Deadman can be, despite them making a big deal about his little viewing room catching fire and him being in Insomnia's head when he actually killed his physical body at the end of the last issue. Well, he's back now, everyone. Insomnia goes on a big whole villainous spiel about how he couldn't have done any of this without Deadman, and so he seeks to punish/reward him by giving him the dream he's always wanted, a dream wherein he has a whole dead family to call his own. But I thought the dead don't dream outside the House of Horrors, and you know what, again, I clearly put more thought into this story than anyone else has. The heroes continue to do their best to fight against Insomnia's hordes, but there's just too many of them, and they keep coming, and they play by completely different rules and logic than anyone else. I will give Joshua Williamson some credit, though. Even though Batman, Wonder Woman, and Superman are back in the story now, they don't actually end up stealing focus, and the spotlight is still very much on Sandman, Deadman, and the rest. Wesley Dodd tries his hardest to rouse Deadman from his dream by saying that it's all an illusion. After that, his nice dream turns into a horrible nightmare wherein he truly is alone. Which, I mean, I guess does make a certain level of sense, because what's more horrifying for a performer than an empty house where no one is watching you? The comic then takes another really weird little detour where Deadman tries to maybe get Insomnia to turn over a new leaf and come to the good guy's side, because after all, he spent so much time in his head and seen all the horrible stuff that happened to him. But no, Insomnia is just too damn bland and uninteresting to even try and rethink his actions, so no, the fighting continues. Eventually though, Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman do clue into something from the first issue, and that is, hey, why did John Dee's nightmare body show up in the Hall of Justice basement the way he did? Surely he was trying to warn the heroes of the coming of Insomnia, and maybe also trying to tell them how to stop him. It's because of that the heroes end up grabbing the Dream Stone from storage, hoping that we'll be able to counteract the effects of the Nightmare Stone. No, really? Dreams counteract nightmares? Seriously, you guys are just having this idea right now? And it works, kind of, sort of. They begin to start to defeat Insomnia, but then Deadman decides to make the Nightmare Stone's power truly work. He needs to actually sacrifice himself, because it was always about sacrifice to get that one to work. So they kill Deadman for a second time, but don't feel too bad for him, because Boston Brand actually did want to die. He was tired of being just an audience member in the game of life. He wanted to actually live. And to live, you have to actually be willing to die. Cool, I guess. And yeah, with that, Insomnia is defeated. We then rush through a little epilogue wherein they try and put everything back to where they found it, including Wesley Dodd the Sandman, who returns to his grave. Him also just kind of cool with having lived a full life and now just wants to go back to being dead. Batman collapses and ends up going into a little 8-week coma. If you want to know more about that, be sure to pick up the Batman book that also came out this week. Also, maybe Insomnia's plan to make people scared of the superhero community actually did work, because we see that little girl from the beginning taking down a bunch of her superhero drawings. What does that have to actually do with anything? Not much at all, but apparently this is all part of a bigger plan by, get this, Amanda Waller and the Light. You'll remember that they actually canonized the Light at the end of Dark Crisis, Joshua Williamson's other big DC event, and then they just kinda did nothing. Well, they're back now. They stole the Nightmare Stone. Yeah, the heroes totally didn't notice it was missing. And now Waller plans to give the Nightmare Stone along with the Helmet of Hate, the evil counterpart to the Helmet of Fate that you would only have seen if you read the Free Comic Book Day tie-ins, to a Shadow Mystery Man off-panel, turning him into a brand new character called Dr. Hate. No, really, and then the book says, hey, if you love this DC event, be sure to check out Beast World, the next big event coming soon. It's not written by Joshua Williamson, though, but it's coming soon. And so that was Night Terrors The End, issue number 1, a completely bland, utterly forgettable finale to a completely bland, utterly forgettable DC comic event story. I said it once, but it bears repeating, this was an interesting enough concept, but one that ended up running out of gas almost instantly, and one that certainly shouldn't have taken over all of DC Comics for 2 whole months. A story like this was always going to live or die on the strength of Insomnia as a villain, and once they revealed his motivation, the whole thing really just kind of came apart at the seams. If he was going to be such a non-entity, why did they even bother building him up like they did? Also, his grand punishment is that Deadman traps him inside his own nightmare where he's haunted by his dead family. That sure seems pretty damn petty for a guy who already had a bone to pick with the superhero community. Also, while I love Deadman as a fun supporting character, having him basically be the main character for this book, it didn't quite work out, did it? I'd give the whole thing an A for effort, but kind of a D for execution. He spends most of the thing in Batman's body and then ends up dying twice. Also, it took some real balls to have at the end of this really lackluster event a stinger to try and set up the next one. Don't get me wrong, I'm sure Beast World will probably be much better because it's spinning out of the pages of Tom Taylor's excellent Titans book right now, but geez Louise. Can no stories just breathe on their own anymore? Do we already have to be hyping up the next big event? In fact, that's what really makes this story feel extra unfortunate, because we now know it's basically the unloved middle child of 2 other bigger, more compelling events. Ultimately, I would give this one a 5 out of 10, and mostly that's just to the artwork that can be pretty cool and pretty creepy and pretty inventive, but certainly wasn't good enough to save the whole story. Hey there everyone, it's your old pal Cape Joel again, thanking you so much for watching to the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, why not check out my Amazon link down in the description. Yes, that's right, the Cape Joel channel officially has its own Amazon storefront now. You can pick up a comic or anything else for that matter, and if you did, you'd really be helping me in the channel. So with that out of the way everyone, I will see you again next time. Bye-bye.